My name is Jenifer Buckley. I'm a PhD student in an Agri-Food Studies program here at Michigan State University in the Department of Community, Agriculture, Recreation, and Resource Studies, or CARS. I was thrilled to accept the University Distinguished Fellowship that Michigan State offered me when I first decided to come here, and I have to say it was one of the most important factors in my accepting Michigan State's offer. I had two other offers from very competitive programs, and it's been one of the things that has allowed me to devote a lot of energy to my studies here and my program and do well. Doing a PhD involves a lot of intellectual energy, and I've seen classmates struggle from semester to semester looking for funding and hoping that they are supported throughout their program, and I frankly have not needed to worry about that. The department has made the commitment to support me, and so even when there's been a question of exactly where that's going to come from, I've known that there is that kind of safety net. My dissertation research is on artisanal food production and food safety regulation in Michigan. There is a lot of recent interest in artisanal production in Michigan and in the rest of the U.S. That is, relatively small operations that use handcrafting methods. And this interest is both on the part of producers and consumers. So there's a lot of recent interest in that, and there's also interest on the part of regulatory agencies in how exactly to respond to this recent development in the agri-food sector. And the Michigan Department of Agriculture and Rural Development, or MDARD, has certainly expressed interest in encouraging small food entrepreneurs and identifying regulatory barriers to these kinds of operations. Some small food producers feel that food safety regulations and the regulatory process in general were not set up for them. So I'm interested in seeing where those tensions are and identifying policy solutions to them. In my research, I'm focusing on the inspection process. I'm speaking with artisanal producers and with food safety regulators about their respective experiences. And I'm also observing inspections. I think that artisanal producers and food safety regulators can have different ideas about how production should go and also about what regulators ought to do. And I'm interested in identifying and understanding what those differences are and bridging the gaps. I think that the interactions at inspections are where the rubber meets the road. And it's in seeing what kinds of issues come up and what they disagree about, whether they disagree about things, and how they deal with those disagreements, that we can come to a better understanding both of what artisanal production is and about what food safety regulation is. And so we learn important things about artisanship and about regulation at these inspections when we look at these issues that we might not otherwise pick up on. I'm not coming from a disciplinary background, and so I'm not coming into this academic program with a cohesive body of knowledge to use as a framework and to build upon. But one of the things that I like about this program and this department is that it has enabled me to develop theoretically rigorous scholarship, identify theories, develop scholarship very theoretically based on these empirical problems that I've been working on for years now. I have a very supportive and an excellent advisor in Jim Bingen and an excellent and supportive committee as well. When I graduate, I am considering either going back into nonprofit work, like what I was doing before, or remaining in academia. Certainly, I know from the field work that I've done, that I did before I came back to school, that academics play a very important role in sustainable farming and local food work. They were some of our biggest supporters and most important critics, and I would love to remain in that role as an academic myself. I'm also considering working and continuing to work in policy issues. I have to say that before I came back to school, I had very little interest in policy, and it's really in having the critical distance from the work that I've done in Duluth and thinking about the importance, the formative role that regulations play in how we think about food and food safety. It's become fascinating, and I could see continuing to work in that as well.